What if I told you? The most dangerous kind of pain is the one you never hear? Not the anger, not the shouting, not the tears, but the silence. Because when someone stops reacting, stops explaining, stops trying, something inside them has already changed. And most people don't even notice it until it's too late. You see, when people are hurt, they usually do one of two things. They fight, or they speak. They argue, they cry, they try to fix things. Because deep down, they still believe the relationship is worth saving. But the ones who go quiet, they've crossed a different line, a psychological line. At first, they were just like everyone else. They explained their feelings. They tried to be understood. They gave chances again and again. But every time they spoke, they felt unheard. Every time they opened up, they felt dismissed. So their mind learned something. Silence hurts less than being ignored. And slowly, they stopped. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just little by little. They replied less. They shared less. They felt less safe. Until one day, they said nothing at all. This is what psychology calls emotional withdrawal. It's not coldness. It's not ego. It's self-protection. Because when a person realizes that their vulnerability is not respected, their brain switches into defense mode, and silence becomes their shield. But here's the part that most people misunderstand. Silence is not the beginning of distance. It is the result of repeated disappointment. Read that again. People don't go quiet because they don't care. They go quiet because they cared too much, for too long, with the wrong person. And eventually, they get tired. Tired of explaining. Tired of hoping. Tired of feeling like their emotions are a burden. So instead of fighting for attention, they choose peace. And that silence? It's not empty. It's filled with thoughts they chose not to say. Conversations they rehearsed in their mind, but never spoke. Because they realized something powerful. Not everyone deserves access to their deepest feelings. And here's where it becomes dangerous. When someone who used to care deeply goes silent, they are no longer trying to fix things. They are trying to detach. That silence is not waiting. It's leaving. Quietly. Without drama. Without closure. Without warning. And the scariest part? They don't come back the same. Because in that silence, they rebuild themselves. They learn to rely on themselves. They stop expecting. They stop chasing. They become emotionally independent. And once a person reaches that stage, it's almost impossible to pull them back into the same pain. So if someone in your life has gone quiet, don't ignore it. Don't assume they're just in a mood. Because silence is often the last chapter of something that once mattered deeply. And by the time you notice it, they may have already moved on in ways you can't see. Because the truth is, the loudest goodbye is rarely spoken. It is felt in silence. There is a kind of silence that doesn't come from peace. It comes from pain. Not everyone shouts when they are hurt. Some people don't argue. They don't explain. They don't chase closure. They simply go quiet. Psychology tells us this isn't weakness. It's emotional self-protection. When a person has been hurt too many times, their brain learns something powerful. Speaking doesn't always make things better. So instead of reacting, they withdraw. Because they've realized that not everyone deserves access to their emotions. This silence is not empty. It is full of unspoken thoughts, unanswered questions, and feelings that were never safe to express. Carl Jung once suggested that the deeper the wound, the more silent the response becomes. Because at some point, words feel useless. People who go quiet when they are hurt are often the ones who feel the deepest. But they've learned that expressing pain to the wrong person only creates more pain. So they stop. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. Their silence is a boundary. A boundary that says, I will not beg to be understood. I will not explain my pain to someone who caused it. I will protect my peace, even if it means losing you. Psychologically, this is known as emotional withdrawal, a coping mechanism where the mind distances itself from harm. But here's the truth most people don't see. When a quiet person finally goes silent, they are not waiting for you to come back. They are learning how to live without you. Because silence is not just absence. It is acceptance. Acceptance that some people will never understand. Acceptance that some relationships were never meant to heal. And in that silence, something powerful happens. They grow. They become stronger, more self-aware, less dependent on validation. So if someone goes quiet after being hurt, don't mistake it for weakness. It might be the loudest decision they've ever made. Because sometimes, the strongest response is no response at all. If you've ever been this kind of silent person, show it with a like. Subscribe for more deep psychology content. And tell me in the comments, do you stay quiet or do you speak when you're